And welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Thanks for joining me. You are, yes, indeed live to the extemporaneous ramblings of a madman, broadcasted, unscripted, unsponsored, unrehearsed, of course. No one would sponsor us. We're shadow banned, canceled. Yes, I'm still got the cold, the lingering, whatever it is, illness, and battling it though. Vitamins are kicking it. And sunlight, going outside, breathing fresh air, very important. Mrs. Maltby might be hacking and coughing in the background a little bit. She was getting me my tea, my evening tea.
It's steeping.
It's steeping. Yes. It's good to steep the tea for a little while. Yeah, it depends what kind of leaf it is.
Perhaps you can regale them with Buffalo Bill Kitty tales of snakes.
Oh, okay, real quick news brief update for Buffalo Bill Kitty. Don't worry, we're gonna get to the news. Some good news. I got some fun stuff in store tonight, as short as it might be. But we got a little kind of a greenhouse or room, sunroom. You can call it that, solarium, parlor, whatever. Tile floor. It's got some plants in it, and it has a little kitty door that goes outside. And I was going in there to sweep up, just routine cleaning, dustpan and broom, and I saw a little pile in the corner, something like a stick. Maybe, sometimes wood chips get dragged in or leaves by the kitties. And I go over there, and it's the head of a garter snake, and about 2 inches of what would be, I guess, the body going down to the tail, but a head plus 2 inches. And I know those snakes, and typically they're fairly long. It was a skinny, tiny one, but still. I don't know what Billy did with the rest of it. He brought it in the house. He must have eaten it. He must have had a little chicken, tastes like chicken snake dinner. He ate a whole lot of it though. A whole lot of snake.
He brought me that head as a gift, and I about died.
Yeah, it was gross. So, anyways, back to the news, right, Mrs. Maltby? Here we go. We got this new word. There's a new word spinning about. I thought maybe it was only in the one article. I saw it one time. Then I thought, what? I'm going to give this a hoot. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to Google inflation surge. And sure enough, it's permeating the headlines. It's like the new word. We moved from transitory to surging. Isn't that incredible? I don't even remember anyone, was that did I miss that? Was there a briefing, like a news bulletin that went out? Is there some type of communique that I missed on the way we're now going to address and describe inflation? Before, it was always the same headline together was transitory with that word. There was always the words transitory and inflation. They used them right next to each other for months and months and months and months. Just transitory. I don't worry about it. It's transitory. Now all of a sudden, and I'll show you, it's not only Fox News, Fox Business, New York Times, Market Watch, all of them. Look at these headlines. IMF trims global growth outlook, warning of supply disruptions and surging inflation. And they talk about surging inflation. I got that article pulled up. Fed's Bostic warns inflation surge will not be brief amid wild consumer price spikes. Okay. So some Fed guy talking about a surge now. New York Times, surging inflation. Market Watch, Asian stocks retreat, surging energy prices, which is basically, related to inflation, but surging energy prices spark inflation concerns. Still, you got the word surging, got the word inflation. Yep. It's repeated, this theme. Surging energy, surging inflation. This is from Global Capital. Europe's IPO market feels the pinch from surging inflation. U.S. shares drop as soaring oil price stir inflation woes. Surging inflation on Seeking Alpha marked a common theme. I mean, this is repeated, and this is all within the last day or two. All of these, you can see by the age of the articles. All recent. So, that media release that went out from whoever's desk, I didn't get a copy of that media release that 24 hours ago we were going to start using the word surging when it came to discussing inflation. But now you know. If you didn't know, now you do. You will now, from here on out, no longer use transitory. We have to now call it surging. It's surging inflation. Now, isn't it incredible, guys? Think about it. Sorry, I just took a sip of the tea. Thank you, Mrs. Maltby, for the tea. Isn't it just remarkable how these people somehow manage to hold on to and keep resurrected a semblance of credibility? It's remarkable. Think about it. Can you imagine being this bad at your job, this incompetent, this inept, and this stupid, to where you can grow from like transitory, temporary, they even talk, slow, it was under control, it was going to go away, and then you can literally go 88 miles an hour in a DeLorean in time travel to the future to where it's surging. And you can do that all in like the span of a 24-hour news cycle. They literally went all out, pedal to the metal. They left a trail of fire. Boom. We didn't even stop on go. We just kept going all the way. We took it from transitory to surging. I thought there'd be a word in between. Like, can you find me something in between the two? Like on pace, or maybe that's two words. I don't know how you go from transitory to surging. There has to be like a middle marker, like there's reverse, there's neutral, there's for first, second, third, and fourth gear. Like, give me another gear here. Okay, this isn't just a two-speed economy. What are you guys doing? They completely, it's obvious. They don't know what's going on. It's completely out of control. They've lost control. There's no brakes. These people are insane. And they have to come up with words and manipulate people's observations and, the whole news cycle, propaganda thing. It's all there. And amidst all of this, wait till you see it. You'll see it. I'll pull it up. I got to center it for you. Adjusting the screen. This is low budget. This is, I'm my own producer here. Here's your CNBC, right? Scrolling down, you look at this headline. You got the old hag that puts her makeup on with a putty knife. Headline, House approves debt limit increase that will last through part of December, and they're sending the bill to Biden. Of course. Debt limits, debt ceilings, we all know that they never stop for these. They always kick it up. They blow right past it. It's not even a barricade. It's like trying to put up spike strips for a D9 Caterpillar. It's not going to work. It's just not going to happen. That's not what it's designed for. The spike strips are not going to stop those 100-ton metal treads. It's just not going to happen. So this whole debt ceiling, the debt limit, it's pure theater. I mean, it's laughable. Anyone who understands it knows it's laughable. And of course, they're going to blow past it. They're going to keep kicking this can down. They made this new bill. They're still working on their other thief package. Their other 3.5 trillion here, plus another $1.5 trillion there, 5.56 trillion, whatever it's going to turn out to be. These numerous trillions of dollar bills that they're trying to pass amidst going broke with an unsustainable debt to GDP. Every measure that there is. I was just listening to Schiff earlier today on just how unsustainable and how every measurement that all the records that this economy is breaking are the bad ones, and how it's just it's broken, completely dysfunctional, and none of it makes any sense. And you know that. I mean, if you look at metals, you know that nothing's making sense. They're using the words surging inflation now. We've seen all kinds of different measurements as far as different products, natural gas, oil. The list goes on. I mean, just look at the price of steak at a Walmart, for example. All these things indicating massive increases in price, right? And then you've got gold and silver pretty much flatlined, if anything in the red a little bit, sometimes dipping at very low levels, 22.58 for silver, 17.62 for gold. Both were a little green today. They gained as inflation concerns grow. That was the headline. Gold prices gain as inflation concerns grow. But we already knew that. Like, you guys knew that. You don't need a headline. That's going to continue. Gold prices, you can make your own headline. Gold prices will gain for the next multiple decades as inflation, hyperinflation, and currency death concerns grow. I mean, that's what I should really read. That's just, a singular daily headline, gold price gains, inflation concerns grow. That's okay. But you guys know if it was going to be an article for the decades, what it would read, what it would be like, and the trend. This is the new normal, if you want to call it that. And by new, I mean, the last 20 years, gold gaining as inflation concerns grow. I mean, the very reason that you purchase and acquire precious metals is because the ever-creeping theft of inflation is eroding your wealth permanently all the time, like termites eating wood. Now, the surging inflation article that I opened up, there was two of them. One of them was a little dated, August 30th, but this was just talking about surging inflation is a U.S. phenomenon. And since then, if I read this article correctly, some of the things they were looking at just in August have changed since then. It's not only the U.S. economy. There are many economies experiencing inflation. We talked about it the other day, and we've looked them up. You can type in essentially any nation right now, any economy, and the word inflation, and it will take you to dozens of articles showing the different measurements, percentages, and what's taking place in those economies. But the big theme there being globally, there's a massive inflation situation going on with all fiats, all of them. U.S. is now starting to, I guess, get at the velocity of we're on par with some of the other nations that don't do so well. We're finally getting up there with getting down there, getting into the slums, the barrios, if you will, of the lesser managed fiat currencies of the world. IMF trims global growth outlook. Warning of supply disruptions. I don't know how they're warning of those when it's already here. It's like a little late for that. I mean, that's kind of a thing. I mean, everybody knows that. You could go ask the kid, the last employee they hired. Guy's got 2 weeks on the job at a Taco Bell anywhere in this country, and he's probably going to have a pretty firm grasp of what supply disruptions are. And he's probably been experiencing the whole time he's been working there, and his boss has been experiencing them for the last 2 years. It's kind of a thing. I don't know how the IMF has to suddenly warn about that. The only thing I can say is it's probably getting worse. And from talking to various friends in different parts of the economy that have different positions, different functions, they're part of different sectors, and they all talk about these supply disruptions. Massive. Some of it stemming from employment issues, people walking off the job, quitting due to mandates. Other people just not showing up for work anymore as if they don't need a job. That kind of a thing. And then there's the parts where, certain things are stuck at sea on container ships. Certain products just aren't being unloaded, or the demand has outpaced the availability of the supply of such products. So, shipping lanes have slowed down. Products have diminished in quantity. This has just been nonstop, the supply disruption. And I think it is going to get worse. I think a lot of you mentioned just yesterday in a video, I saw some comments. It was a common theme in the last week or two even, I've been seeing it. A lot of you have talked about buying food. Freeze-dried food, mountain house meals, stuff that lasts a while. And that just shows you the caliber of people that are here in the chat and on this channel here for sure. As you guys get it, you're thinking ahead. I mean, if you're buying silver and gold, and you're buying other precious metals like copper, brass, lead, it's smart to have some food as well, especially when you think about supply disruptions and the potential for anything, just a diminished amount of food at your local grocery stores or the availability of it. It's not a bad idea having a supply of food. Now, the other thing that this article talked about in the headline, we're just getting to the headline, is the surging inflation. And then it goes on in the finer print below the headline, like the sub-headline. IMF downgrades U.S. growth outlook amid rising inflation. And then it talks about supply risks, supply risks. But it puts inflation first here, not just the supply disruptions up here. They switch it right here. And I think it is a concern of the IMF. I think it truly is something that they are, and that the world is concerned about. Welcome to Ann Cat's Pillar Dollars. Darren Saffer. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you. Thanks for signing up and becoming a member. You now have access to the greatest emojis on all of the YouTube. Surging inflation and supply chain disruptions are hampering the global economic recovery from the pandemic. They actually talk about that still. The IMF warned on Tuesday. The Washington-based IMF projected in its latest World Economic Outlook that global domestic gross product will grow by 5.9%. This is minus 0.1 percentage point lower than its July estimate. Okay, so they adjusted it. The IMF, they might have to adjust it again. I'm guessing they will. The IMF expect. Let's remember this number. They want it to grow by 5.9. It's going to come in less than that. The IMF expects global growth to remain at 4.9% next year. They go on to talk about the pandemic, talking about the supply disruption. Of course. Same old thing. And then they all are talking about the inflation, though. Inflation has accelerated. Right here, read this. Accelerated as the economy recovers from last year's brief but extremely severe recession. Consumer prices have climbed dramatically over the past few months, an increase that Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has attributed to pandemic-induced disruptions in the supply chain, a shortage of workers that's pushed wages higher, and a wave of pent-up consumers flush with stimulus cash. I doubt that part. Regardless, it's accelerated. It's no longer, and then there's that word again, transitory. Although central banks can generally look through transitory inflation pressures and avoid tightening until there is more clarity on underlying price dynamics, they should be prepared to act quickly if the recovery strengthens faster than expected or risks of rising inflation expectations become tangible, the IMF said. Still clinging to that word, but transitory. Well, I just don't see it as being that. I think it's going to be, if anything, surging and lasting, and it's going to continue for quite some time, which we all know will move everything along with it, whether it's fuel, food, precious metals, and everything else in between.
Look at that dumb bitch.
Yeah. Pelosi, yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight's broadcast. Told you to be short, brief on just the one topic there, how we moved from transitory to surging. And I think you guys know how that's going to affect everything in the long term, especially, eventually, the price point and the amount of fiat trash paper coupons it takes to acquire specific weights and purities of precious metal. So keep your eyes on it. See you on the next video. Yes.
Why don't you head to the chat for just a moment, see if anybody has any
if there's any
questions.
Comments or questions. Yeah, can you see them?
We've got JJ Stackin, Tempest 12, Lisa Willis, Maxwell Morris, Nurse Manning in the chat here. Channel members, Jake Greener.
Kalna, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Kalna.
you for the super chat. Mimaru, good to see you. Good to see you, Lisa. All the channel members. Sarah Brown, Tempest, JJ Stackin. Who else we got here? Jake Greener, Trevor Ham, good to see you. Nurse Manning, Maxwell Morris.
Finally. Okay, Phil Settle.
Physics.
Thank you for that super chat. However, I was hoping to catch you in a live or in a chat somewhere because I am very appreciative of the kitty formula that you sent.
Oh, yeah, the kitty formula came from Phil.
Yes.
Thank you, Phil, for the kitty formula.
And I will be using it for my next little foster babies. That stuff's expensive, as he saw. It's crazy. So I really appreciate it.
Lisa Willis is asking about the next raid, and I'd like to know that, too. We should do one soon. When we get back from... Where are we? Let's see. We'll be working. Have to be a day when I'm off. Yeah. Mrs. Maltby will have to get back. You'll have to plan it. You're the better at planning.
Well, we'll do one in October.
And looking at the calendar. A spooky raid. It could be a spooky raid for, spooky silver.
A spooky stacker raid.
A spooky stacker raid. Yeah, there you go. Think of how much fun you'd have designing little artwork for that.
Think of how much fun I wouldn't have, though, at the same time.
It's going to be great. A spooky stacker raid. I like it.
We're temporarily away in California for a few days here shortly.
Yeah, a little bit. We have a brief respite But I'm trying to get videos made ahead of time for you guys. I've never done that before because I don't want to leave you hanging.
Trevor Ham, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you.
Also, there's a lot about November 5th going around. It seems like a lot of people want that day.
That's a good day. Yeah, the 5th of November.
I can't see why we shouldn't do it on that day. I have to double check the work schedule here.
Yeah.
But, I will be doing the spooky stacker one for sure. This is my season, and I will
get it going. You better hurry up and organize that.
I got it.
Crack the whip on you.
I've been sick, Junius.
Same here. Thanks to me.
You.
I'm a bioweapon. I walked around with no mask on.
If anybody in the chat
just to expose
has ever
others.
Been so congested that it actually pisses them off, that's me today.
Yeah, I just don't like the cough. The cough's what bothers me. I don't like coughing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like the
it
feeling.
either. Junius has kept me up 2 nights in a row with his outrageous cough.
My rattly cough.
Oh my gosh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess if there's no more questions, any other good questions?
I didn't even check if there was questions. Let me scroll up here real quick. I don't think there is questions. I think people...
Well, that's good.
Let's see. Hang on. I was looking at memes. I had to go back into the chat. We'll announce all of the raids whenever the spooky stacker raid is coming, and then again, if we're available on the 5th, and we'll certainly have that for you all.
Yeah, if you check the community tab,
time.
they gotta sign up for alerts and notifications. Yeah. If you get the notifications, then check the community tab. You should be able to see it.
We appreciate all of your support. We've both been extremely busy and very sick, and then I've been planning for my surgery at the beginning of next year, and it's getting real. So
yeah, it's getting real. It's gonna happen.
Lots of appointments, preliminary appointments leading up to that. So
yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, Junius, perhaps about...
Oh, man. I don't know if there's any stories. The other day you told me that you want to tell a story about something, and I don't remember...
I don't remember what that would be about either.
I know.
We watched Once Upon a Time in America the other night. It's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, it was kind of a waste.
I'm still genuinely confused by it. I've been Googling what the hell it all meant today.
Yeah.
If any of you guys know what that movie was actually about,
wasn't impressed.
We watched 3.5 hours.
Not impressed. But that's it. We'll call it. Call it an evening. I'll probably have a second cup of tea here pretty soon.
And the only reason why we're temporarily, briefly stopping through to California is for a family situation I have to attend to in California.
That's it.
That's the only reason why.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night to each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in here, as always, and I'll see you on the next one.